After 25 years of being overlooked, I revealed an incredible surprise, my dream villa. Mike stood beneath the bright summer sun, a heart full of hope, clenching the papers that held the blueprints of his dreams. For so many years, he'd been the overlooked janitor at the local high school, but today, he would reveal something monumental: his dream villa, an estate that had only lived on crumpled sheets of paper sketched with crayon during the innocence of his childhood, now a reality. Excitement thrummed through the air, a palpable energy that rippled through the onlooking crowd, a mix of curious smiles and hushed cheers from the community he loved. In the modest suburban part of Pennsylvania, Mike was known for keeping the high school spotless, tirelessly scrubbing away the remnants of students' chaotic lives. Each drop of sweat carried a kind of dedication that spoke volumes about his character. Neighbors often whispered tales of a quiet hero: how he attended every potluck and fundraiser, how he invested every penny earned in stocks while others indulged in luxuries he couldn't afford. Yet inside, he carried the weight of estrangement from a wealthy family that viewed his honest life as a failure. They didn't understand the joy of seeing students' laughter echo through clean hallways or the satisfaction derived from glossy floors. As Mike stood in front of the crowd, dread flickered within. He was the man behind the scenes, cherished yet unseen, and now, hearts aflutter like butterflies, everyone awaited the big reveal. "I did it!" he shouted, his voice climbing over the excited murmurs. With trembling hands, he unfurled the blueprints, revealing images of vibrant green lawns and sunlit rooms. There was a sharp intake of breath across the crowd, then an eruption of exhilaration. Cheers rang, expressions of surprise and envy danced across familiar faces. Raw emotion welled up in Mike's heart, tears glistening at the corners of his eyes, but then, a cold gust swept through the warm gathering. It was the appearance of his affluent relatives, adorned in designer clothes that glimmered like distant stars. Whispers surfaced, taunting questions curling around like tendrils of smoke. "Do you really think this is what you wanted?" They looked at him, eyes swirling with disdain. They confronted him amid the jubilance, a stark contrast to the authenticity of his life's work. Their conversations dripped with confusion, dismissing the very essence of hard work and integrity that had defined Mike. The crowd shuffled, tension thick as he felt their judgment seeping into his skin. He was now at a crossroads, torn between the family expectation that clanged with dollar signs and the community he now called home. A heart-wrenching confrontation brewed, each word a potential dagger, pushing him further into turmoil. Was he willing to scar his newfound identity to pacify these gilded ghosts from the past? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just as Mike began to piece together a plan in his mind, the crowd held its breath, faces turned toward him in shared silence pregnant with anticipation. Would he surrender to family legacy or embrace the values that brought him joy right here in this vibrant community? That question lingered, hanging in the sunlit air, casting a shadow over the possibility of the future he had fought so hard to build. Would Mike choose loyalty or self, a choice that could define his next steps infinitely? Mike's heart raced as he stared into the sea of faces before him. He felt like a lone lighthouse amidst a stormy sea, where family pressures crashed against the foundation of his dreams. His relatives' calculating eyes pierced through the joy surrounding him, planting seeds of doubt in his mind. "You really think this community will appreciate you?" His cousin Derek smirked, adjusting his cufflinks as though the mere motion could elevate him above the crowd. "You're just a janitor. What do you know about building something meaningful?" It was an old knee-jerk response, one as familiar as the tattered shoes on his feet. The word stung more than Mike wanted to admit, pulling at insecurities he had tucked away. He searched the crowd, finding solace in the familiar faces of friends and neighbors, those who had stood by him through thick and thin. The memories flooded his mind: children he mentored, parents who came to him when in need, and colleagues who respected him not for his job title but for the impact he made. "I don't just clean floors, Derek," Mike finally declared, his voice trembling but firm. "I believe in building a community, a place where everyone can thrive just like I dared to dream." He met his cousin's gaze, defiantly holding on as a ripple of murmurs flowed through the audience. Each person's expression encouraged him, fueling the light that had long been dimmed by years of feeling unworthy. The sunlight glinted off the blueprints in his hands as he felt a flicker of hope beginning to spark within. Mike's aunt, who had remained silent until then, stepped forward, her expression softening. "Your dream villa, Mike, it represents you. Hard work, persistence, and determination. Your heart is in the right place." A wave of support washed over him, and the joy that danced on the crowd's faces pushed against the tightening grip of family expectations. Perhaps he had been overlooked for too long, but his achievements could not be minimized any longer. The energy swung, cheers erupted once more, rising like smoke into the air. Mike turned to the crowd, their faces echoing pride. "Thank you. This villa isn't just a house. It's a home. And it belongs to all of us." The tide turned as the energy of the moment swept away the bitter chill of judgment. Laughter filled the air, and people drew towards him, clapping him on the back and sharing smiles that felt deeper than mere courtesy. In that moment, he realized where his heart truly belonged, but as the din of celebration swelled, the high spirits were abruptly pierced by Derek's seething voice. "Enjoy it while you can, cousin. Just remember it won't last." An uneasy silence fell over the gathering, the laughter retreating like shadows at dusk. Mike's heart sank as his cousin's ominous words settled in. Did he sense something more? Something about this triumph that was mere smoke? Would his victory be met with a storm, and could this moment of joy easily cascade into chaos? As the sun began to dip behind the trees, casting an orange hue over everyone, Mike felt the air shift once again. What lay ahead? Would he be able to carve his new place in the world without the shadows of his past creeping in to overshadow his future? He took a deep breath, steeling himself for whatever might come next. The stakes were higher than ever, and he had to be ready. Mike clenched the blueprints tightly, reminding himself that he wasn't just building a villa. He was building a legacy. He had made his choice, but the real challenge was yet to come. How would he stand against the next wave of doubt that threatened to drown his dreams? Would he have the strength to keep pushing forward? In the stillness that followed Derek's taunting words, Mike felt a familiar tension coil inside him, tightening like a vice. He fought the urge to let his cousin's doubt seep into his heart. The crowd murmured around him, their earlier excitement dimmed, but Mike wasn't ready to let that fire go out. "Hey!" he called out, cutting through the heavy air. "This is just the beginning. A few whispers can't change the vision I have." He glanced around, locking eyes with friends who had rallied around him. They were grounded, steadfast, their anticipation tangible. This was his moment, his chance, and he wouldn't let it tumble back into the shadows of insecurity. The sun sank lower, casting long shadows that met the yellow glow of twilight. In the heart of this quaint gathering, something deeper than mere chatter began to open. People stepped closer, their encouragement palpable, as if they were pulling courage from one another. Mike felt it. They believed in him. "Let us not just talk about dreams," he said, his voice rising above the noise. "Let us turn them into action. Who's ready to roll up their sleeves and help build this place?" A cheer erupted from the crowd, igniting sparks of enthusiasm that flickered like stars against the encroaching darkness. Hands shot up, people calling out their skills: painters, carpenters, neighbors with tools and experience who were eager to join the endeavor. Mike's chest swelled as he gazed around. He saw not just a community, but a united force. "Together, we can make this villa a reality," he cried, feeling those words pour from his soul. He recalled the lonely nights spent sketching plans, filling pages with hopes, and the pulse of excitement at the blueprint drawings that now felt tangible. He wasn't just janitor Mike anymore, he was now the visionary. But then, from the edge of the crowd, Derek scoffed, attempting to throw a shadow over the reawakening hope. You really think they'll stick around? People come and go, but when the going gets tough, you'll be alone again. Doubt, a constant companion, came creeping back. Mike's heart thudded painfully as he wrestled with the words. Would his dream truly come crashing down around him? His mind raced, recalling times in his life when he felt utterly alone. Yet, every time, he had emerged stronger. This was different. This time, he wouldn't face it alone. He looked back at the faces of those gathered, remembering their laughter and support. They were more than friends, they were family, his chosen family. I won't back down. We've got each other. He shouted, his voice echoing defiantly into the dusk. And together, we'll create something that lasts. As the words left his mouth, he felt the energy shift. The crowd roared in agreement, and the warmth of their collective spirit pushed against the chill of doubt. Mike felt a renewed determination surging within. But even amidst that rising hope, a small part of him twinged with anxiety. Derek's voice replayed in his mind, mingling with his own thoughts. What if the doubts became reality? What if the support faded when the work began? He forced himself to swallow those fears, focusing instead on the present. Tonight, the community stood behind him. Wasn't he that enough? Just then, a girl he had mentored years ago, Sarah, stepped forward. Remember when you told us we could make a difference? This is your chance, Mike. We're all with you. A wave of emotion washed over him, tears prickling his eyes. He nodded, taking a deep breath. In the stillness that followed, the weight of his past began to feel lighter. But that realization came with its own pressure. Now more than ever, he had to fight for his vision. The stakes were high, but so was the support around him. Mike raised his blueprints, holding them like a shield against the uncertainty ahead. As night settled in, he understood his story was just beginning. What lay ahead? Would the very community he sought to uplift rally around him, or would they falter under pressure? The sky darkened, stars twinkling like possibilities, but shadows of doubt lingered close. The energy buzzed in the air like a live wire as Mike stood before the crowd. Their eager faces ignited something deep within him. Inspired by Sarah's words, he felt a pulse of courage surge in his chest, overpowering the remnants of doubt. He looked around at the diverse tapestry of people who had gathered, their enthusiasm contagious. The flickering lights of lanterns began to twinkle above them, offering illumination against the deepening night. Okay, everyone. Mike called, excitement threading through his voice once more. Let's start by organizing. We need to set dates for gatherings, outline tasks, and figure out what supplies we'll need. This is our chance to make not just a villa, but a home, a place where everyone belongs. His words landed in the eager ears of the crowd, sparking ideas and discussions. Voices rose in excited chatter, people leaning closer, some already jotting down notes on their phones. Mike watched as the crowd began to take on its own life, friends clustering together, sharing ideas, and spreading an infectious energy around. It felt like a symphony playing in perfect harmony, and Mike stood at the center, the conductor of their collective dream. Derek's voice still echoed in his mind, but he found himself dismissing it more easily now. These moments had started to drown out the whispers of fear within him. As he directed conversations, he caught sight of Sarah again. Her eyes sparkled with zest for the project, and it made Mike's heart swell. She had been through her own battles, yet here she was, ready to stand beside him. Hours rolled by as the discussions morphed into plans. They mapped out the site, divvying up tasks and setting up timelines. As the moon climbed higher, Mike felt a sense of purpose wash over him. It wasn't just about building a villa anymore. It was about strengthening bonds, nurturing connections, and creating a solid foundation for his vision and the community's spirit. Suddenly, a shout pierced through the murmur of voices. Hey! I know a guy who owns a lumber yard. How about we call him for supplies? A wave of excitement rippled through the gathering, affirming that this dream was taking shape. But amidst all the enthusiasm, a thought tugged at the corners of Mike's mind. What if the reality of hard work and setbacks came barreling in like a winter storm? The fear flickered momentarily like a candle in the wind, but he resolutely pushed it aside. He was no longer the isolated janitor, he was Mike the builder, the community leader. And tonight felt like the first step in a lifelong journey. As laughter and planning filled the air, he caught Derek's silhouette lingering at the edge of the gathering. The scowl on Derek's face was unmistakable, and it struck Mike like a punch to the gut. Doubt had manifested itself in human form, lingering just outside this glowing circle of hope. Mike inhaled deeply. Tonight was not just about fighting off old fears, it was about embracing something brand new. With the community at his back, anything was possible. Let South make this place a home that lasts, through thick and thin. He shouted, punctuating his declaration with a fist raised high. The crowd erupted into cheers and applause, their faith tangible and electric, but even as the applause echoed through the night, Mike's mind raced. As he adjusted the plans in his hands, he wondered, what challenges would they face that could test their resolve? And would they stand the test or crumble under the weight of obstacles ahead? With that thought hanging in the air, the gathering buzzed on, but Mike knew one thing for certain, this journey was only beginning, and he would have to fight harder than ever to keep the dream alive. What would be the tipping point that would decide the fate of their community project? The gathering was electric with excitement. Conversations danced around Mike, infused with laughter and animated gestures as people took ownership of their roles. They began to break into action, jotting down what they needed to get started. It was a whirlwind of energy, each person feeding off the collective courage that buzzed in the night. Can we get a list of everyone's strengths? Asked Lisa, a local teacher who had always been enthusiastic about community projects. Great idea. Let us assign people based on what they love doing, Mike replied, feeling the urgency building within him. As names and tasks were thrown around, Mike felt grounded in the chaos. They were all volunteering their time. It wasn't just a project, it was a tapestry they were weaving together. Colors to make something beautiful, and everyone was adding their thread. He glanced over at Sarah. Her smile lit up the night. She caught his gaze and gave him a thumbs up, her expression a mix of pride and determination. Mike felt invigorated, it was clear they were on the cusp of something monumental. Suddenly, a voice chimed in from the back of the circle, cutting through the whirl of enthusiasm. But what if we can't pull it off? What if we fail? It was Derek. The words spilled out like a dark cloud looming over their celebration, the energy shifted. Mike stiffened. Derek, we won't know until we try. He tried to keep his tone upbeat as he turned to face him. Failure is part of the process. It's about perseverance. Derek shrugged, looking unconvinced, and Mike felt a pang of frustration. It was as if doubt had clawed its way back into the atmosphere. He couldn't let it settle there. Every great venture comes with uncertainty, but that shouldn't stop us. We have to believe in each other, Mike continued, gathering resolve. He could see the glimmers of hope in the eyes of others, but Derek's voice threatened to seep back in. The crowd murmured in agreement, and the energy lifted once more, but the seed of uncertainty had been planted. Would they really be able to tackle all the challenges ahead? Then a gentle hand rested on Mike's shoulder. It was Sarah, her warmth like a soothing balm. We will figure it out together, she said softly. Yes. Together. Mike echoed back, feeling stronger with her support. The crowd swelled with unity, voices rising in cheers once again. With the plans laid out and tasks assigned, they settled into groups, ready to get to work. Some circulated with courage, others still hoarded doubt. But Mike focused on those who pushed forward, their smiles contagious. He joined a group dedicated to clearing the land. Nothing felt better than getting dirt under his fingernails and his body moving, alongside people who believed in the dream. As they worked, sweat and laughter mingled with the scent of fresh earth. Mike felt the stress of doubt loosen its grip as the community's hope grew stronger. Hours flew by, and soon the stars blazed brightly overhead, a testament to their shared efforts. But just as they began to feel a thrilling sense of possibility, a sudden crash echoed through the air. Everyone stopped, turning to see a small tree had snapped, crashing down a few feet away. They rushed to inspect the chaos, heart rates quickening, stomachs tightening. It was a reminder of just how unpredictable this journey could be. Mike's pulse raced. Would these unforeseen events crumble their spirits? As he assessed the damage, he bit his lip, filled with dread. What if this is just the beginning? He thought. A chill ran through him as he prepared to address the crowd again. Let us not let this scare us. He called out, forcing a smile despite the gnawing tension. Every setback is an opportunity to learn. But deep inside, he wondered. Could they really rise above the challenges ahead, including this very moment? With uncertainty lurking in the back of his mind, the flickering lights around them suddenly seemed dimmer. What if the first obstacle brought them to their knees instead? Mike took a deep breath, casting a glance around at their faces, determined to keep the collective spirit alive yet uncertain about what lay ahead. Would they unite and move past this first hurdle, or would it expose cracks in their resolve that could lead to deeper fractures? Mike's voice reverberated in the quiet that followed the crash. The trees loomed tall, but the moment felt fragile, like they were all hanging by a thread. He looked into the eyes of his friends, some filled with concern, others brimming with defiance. Could they really turn this disaster into something meaningful? Let us take a moment, he suggested, his heart pounding. We can't rush into this, we need a plan. As he spoke, Mike noticed Sarah stepping closer, her presence steadying him. He appreciated her unwavering support amid the uncertainty swirling like autumn leaves. Derek was still lingering at the back, his frown a dark cloud over their gathering. Mike couldn't ignore the fear woven into his words earlier. What if I've been too reckless? He thought. What if this isn't really how community projects are supposed to go? He cast a quick glance at Sarah, hoping to find solace in her reassuring smile. All right, everyone, Mike called, trying to project calm. Let us split into smaller groups. We can gather tools and clear the fallen tree together. It's not just about fixing a mess, it's about being a team. We are strong in numbers. The crowd responded, a collective cheer that broke through the tension. Yet, as they dispersed, Mike felt a tug of anxiety. Would they see his vision or question his leadership after this setback? He joined a few volunteers who slipped on gloves and moved toward the fallen tree. As they worked, laughter bubbled up, cutting through the stress. They teamed up seamlessly, lifting, pulling, and eventually clearing the mess. It was a small victory, but it felt monumental. See? We can work through anything, Sarah said as she wiped sweat from her brow, her cheeks flushed from exertion. Her enthusiasm set a ball of hope rolling in Mike's chest. As they finished, a small crowd gathered to celebrate. This wasn't so bad. Someone exclaimed, breaking into a grin. The shared laughter echoed against the backdrop of the night sky. It felt good, like they were building not just a site but a bond, but the laughter was interrupted when Derek stepped forward, arms crossed. I still think this is too much to take on. What if something else goes wrong? Mike couldn't ignore the flicker of frustration. But we just tackled that tree, he said, gesturing back towards the remnants of their work. We can't let fear hold us back. We might not have control over everything, but we have each other. Derek hesitated, the tension in his shoulders easing just a little. I hear you, but what if this leads to something bigger, something we can't manage? A deep silence fell, and Mike knew Derek had struck a chord. His heart raced, a mix of empathy and frustration spinning inside him. How many times had he wrestled with that very question? Then we'll tackle that together too, Mike finally said, his voice softer now. This project isn't just about the house. It's about finding our courage, together. In that moment, something shifted. A faint spark of understanding lit in Derek's eyes, and the laughter around them swelled again, although this time tinged with introspection. I think we have a chance, Mike thought as he looked around, hopeful. Yet doubt nestled deep. What if this was just one step forward, only to face 2 steps back? Just then, the wind picked up, rustling leaves overhead as if whispering secrets. Mike felt the hair on the back of his neck stand up, a warning, a promise of what lay ahead. Could they really keep their spirits high through whatever came next? He turned to the group, their faces illuminated by hope and lingering uncertainty. "Tomorrow, let's come back stronger," he declared, raising his hands, signaling his call for action. But as he looked into Derek's eyes, he couldn't shake the unease lingering in his own heart. What if the storm was just beginning? Would they withstand whatever came their way, or would the fractures show themselves sooner than he thought? The morning dawned bright and clear, the sun peeking through the trees like a shy child emerging from a hideout. Mike woke up with a sense of purpose, but it was tangled with a few threads of doubt. Today was crucial, and he hoped the group would come back with renewed energy. As he stepped outside, the cool air bit at his skin, energizing him. He scanned the street, counting the familiar faces as they trickled down the road. Sarah was the first to arrive, her laughter rising like a bell, ringing in Mike's ears. "Ready to make some magic happen?" she called, her enthusiasm infectious. "Always," he replied, smiling. Derek appeared next, moving slowly but still determined. Mike felt a flicker of relief. If Derek showed up, he might just be willing to join them, despite the worries that lingered in his mind. Once the group had assembled, Mike took a deep breath, hoping to align their focus. "Today, we've got to push ourselves further. Clearing that tree was just the first step. We need to start laying the groundwork for our project." Several nods greeted him, and Mike felt some of the tension ease. Yet, he could see the apprehension still clouding Derek's eyes. As they moved to gather tools, Mike whispered, "You good?" Derek shrugged. "Just trying to keep an open mind," he said, his tone lighter, but Mike could sense the hesitance under the surface. "Let us work through it together," Mike urged. "We'll figure things out as we go." The group split into pairs, eager voices filling the air as they shared ideas on what to tackle next. Mike picked up a shovel and joined Sarah, who was bending over to measure out a section of ground. As they began to dig, the chatter around them swelled into a symphony of community spirit. "Isn't it incredible?" Sarah mused, wiping her brow. "We started with a worry, and now look at us. We're transforming this space." Mike grinned, swept up by her enthusiasm. "Yeah, and it's not just about the house. It's about everything we're building together." As the hours ticked by, the group dug, measured, and planned with palpable energy. Laughter filled the air, blending with the melody of hard work. Mike could feel the doubts begin to slip away, replaced by hope. They were becoming something more stronger, united, but then, the wind shifted again. It whipped through the trees more forcefully, pulling leaves from their branches like scattered thoughts. The cheerful chatter faded, replaced by an uneasy silence that wrapped around them like a tight blanket. Mike turned to Derek, who had stopped digging, staring thoughtfully into the distance. "Hey, what's on your mind?" "I just can't shake this feeling," Derek began, chewing his lip. "What if we end up in over our heads? What if we fail?" The weight in the air pressed heavier, and Mike's heart quickened. "What if we succeed? What if this brings us together?" He countered, trying to ignite hope in Derek's eyes. There was a long pause, and Mike saw the struggle etched on Derek's face. "What if I'm just not ready to lead in front of everyone? What if they'll blame me if this goes wrong?" Mike felt a knot twist in his stomach. It was hard to admit, but Derek's fears echoed his own. "We're all in this together. We lift each other up, even through the doubts." The moment stretched, a delicate thread between fear and courage. Suddenly, Sarah chimed in with a tentative smile, "We're building more than a house. We're building trust." Derek's brow furrowed as he considered her words. Just then, a loud crack interrupted them. An ominous sound echoed through the trees. Everyone froze, eyes darting toward the source. What was that? Someone whispered. Mike could feel the tension return, a bolt of anxiety tightening in his chest. The wind roared, a warning as ominous clouds began to roll in overhead. "Let us check it out," Mike finally said, pushing past his own fear. They had faced the tree, they could face anything together. As they stepped toward the noise, Mike's heart raced. What awaited them beyond the trees? Would this be a moment of revelation or disaster? A storm was brewing, and it was more than just the weather. What if everything they had built together was about to be tested in ways they could never have imagined? The group tentatively moved toward the source of the sound, each step filled with a combination of curiosity and dread. Mike could feel their collective energy shift, anticipation hung thick in the air. The trees loomed taller as they pushed forward, the rustling leaves whispering secrets just out of reach. "Stay close," Mike said, his voice steady despite the butterflies in his stomach. He caught a glimpse of Sarah, her brow furrowed, but her eyes sparkled with that same determination that had kept them motivated. Derek lagged behind, the stress etched into his features. Another crack resonated from the depths of the thicket, and suddenly a rustling emerged from a nearby bush. Everyone halted. "What was that?" Derek whispered, nearly too quiet to hear over the increasing wind. "Just an animal, probably," Sarah tried to reassure him, though her voice wavered slightly. Just then, a small deer burst into view, darting out from the underbrush. The creature paused, looking back at them with wide, startled eyes. An unexpected wave of relief washed over the group as they chuckled softly, their tension breaking like a fragile bubble. "See? Just a little guy," Mike said, smiling as the deer bounded away into the safety of the trees. But that fleeting moment of humor was short-lived, as a thunderous roar followed, echoing through the woods. Above them, dark clouds continued to gather, formless but heavy. "That doesn't sound like an animal," Derek murmured, eyes wide. "Come on, let us keep moving," Mike encouraged, tightening his grip on the shovel, using it as a metaphorical shield against the unease growing within him. As they pushed deeper into the thicket, the woods changed around them. The trees grew denser, their twisted, gnarly branches casting eerie shadows on the forest floor. A palpable tension surrounded them, the vibrant energy of camaraderie replaced with an unsettling quiet. What were they really facing? Mike felt a rush of doubt seep back in. He stole a glance at Derek, who seemed to mirror his own fears. "We can still turn back," Derek said quietly, almost as if he could read Mike's thoughts. Mike lifted his chin, channeling strength he didn't quite feel. "No. We're here for a reason. Whatever we find, it can't be worse than our doubts holding us back." Suddenly, they stumbled upon a clearing, an area of disturbed earth, where the fallen branches had been moved aside. In the center lay an ancient, gnarled tree, unlike any they had seen before. Its trunk was wide and cracked, revealing deep crevices that seemed to form a natural door. As they stared, Sarah took a step closer, eyes wide. What if she paused, a crooked smile forming as if a thought had etched its way into her mind? What if there is something inside? Something we didn't expect? The wind howled, carrying a sense of urgency as the threat of rain loomed heavier. Mike felt a spark of hope light up within him. "If we're going to do this, let us be brave together. We'll face whatever is inside as one." With that, Mike stepped forward, encouraged by the trust building among them. Sweat rolled down his back, mingling with fear and anticipation. As he laid a hand on the tree, energy coursed through him. It felt alive, connected, just like their group. In that moment, he knew they were on the brink of discovery, not just of the tree's hidden secrets but also of the strength that lay within each of them. Just as he was about to push the door open, a bolt of lightning illuminated the sky, followed by a deafening crack of thunder that shook the ground beneath their feet. "What now?" Derek's voice trembled, uncertainty creeping back. "We take a leap of faith," Mike replied, his heart pounding. As he opened the door, a rush of cool air escaped from within, carrying with it the echoes of a mysterious past. As the door creaked open wider, a glow emanated from the darkness inside. What awaited them on the other side? Would their journey lead to hope, or would it be a devastating revelation? The group held its collective breath, caught in a moment of suspense. What would they uncover when they stepped into the unknown. As Mike pushed the door wider, the air thickened with an anticipation that felt almost electric. The glow spilled out, bathing them in light, illuminating their anxious faces. For a moment, the chaos of the storm outside faded away, replaced by an overwhelming sense of wonder. "What do you think it is?" Sarah whispered, barely able to contain her excitement. "Only one way to find out," Mike replied, his voice steady as he took a brave step forward, followed closely by Sarah and the others. Derek hesitated, glancing at the sky as another rumble of thunder shook the ground. But he caught Mike's intense gaze and stepped in, too, driven by a sense of belonging that had pulled him through the creeping fear. Inside, they were met with a narrow passage lined with the same ancient bark as the tree. Mysterious symbols glimmered faintly on the walls, almost alive in their intricate formations. The atmosphere felt rich with history, like they were walking through a story waiting to be told. "I can't believe this is here," Derek murmured, his eyes wide in awe. "Look at these markings!" Sarah exclaimed, bending down to examine a carving resembling a figure. It seemed to hold so much emotion, yet it was also cryptic. "Do you think they mean something?" Derek asked, his voice gaining confidence as curiosity began to drown out his fear. "They could be warnings or tales of what happened here," Mike suggested, brushing his fingers over the symbols. Each stroke sent a small thrill through him, as if the tree was connecting with his very soul. As they walked further into the passage, the glow grew brighter, revealing a chamber that opened up before them. The walls gleamed with light, and in the center stood a pedestal cradling several ancient artifacts. Each piece sparkled in the ambient light, beckoning them closer. "Guys, look!" Sarah's voice was a mixture of excitement and disbelief. "These are unbelievable." She reached for a small, encrusted pendant, its jewels vibrant even after years of entombment. "Wait!" Mike cautioned, but it was too late. With a gentle tug, Sarah lifted the pendant from its resting place. Instantly, the ground trembled beneath them, and an eerie wind swept through the chamber, extinguishing the glow and plunging them into darkness. "Back to back. Stay together!" Mike shouted, adrenaline surging. They huddled close, hearts racing as they strained to see anything in the oppressive blackness. The wind howled around them, sounding almost like warnings of despair. "Is everyone okay?" Derek panted, fear etching into his features. I think I can see something." Sarah's voice trembled as a faint shimmer began to break through the darkness like a beacon in the night, and then came a sound soft at first, a low chant that reverberated against the stone. It grew louder, morphing into an urgent plea, wrapping around them like a spell. Fear and excitement intertwined inside Mike. He was caught between wanting to flee and the need to uncover the truth bearing down on them. "What did we awaken?" Mike whispered. For the first time since entering the woods, he truly questioned what they had stumbled upon. "Should we go back?" Derek asked, anxiety rising in his tone. "No," Sarah insisted, her curiosity overpowering her fear. "We're already here. We can't back down now." The glow returned, illuminating a path leading deeper into the chamber. Shadows danced against the walls as the chanting intensified, pressing them to move forward into the light or to face whatever darkness was looming just behind them. "What lies ahead?" Mike thought, taking a deep breath. "Is it knowledge or danger? Do we step into legend or curse?" As they inched closer to the light, the chant morphed into a single word, resonating through the air, a name long forgotten but echoing with promises and terrors. "Mike!" What if Derek's voice quaked behind him, but all Mike could muster was a deep breath. Closing the distance to the luminous glow, he ventured forth, ready to face whatever lay ahead. And then it hit him, the realization that they weren't just on a journey into the unknown, they were about to confront a piece of their own fate. What awaited them on the other side? Would it fulfill their hopes or shake their very foundations? As the glow enveloped them, Mike's breath caught in his throat. They stepped into the light, holding their collective breaths, ready to uncover what lay beyond. Instead of a horror, they found a sanctuary, an expansive chamber filled with natural beauty. The walls sparkled with crystals like stars, and a shimmering waterfall cascaded down into a crystal-clear pool. This was no mere tree, it was a portal to another realm, a place where the community's hopes and fears mingled in the air. "Wow," Sarah breathed, wide-eyed. The tension melted away, replaced by a sense of wonder that pulled them closer. Derek's mouth opened in awe, his previous doubts momentarily forgotten. "Is this real?" he murmured, a tiny smile creeping onto his face. But there was still a weight in the air, a lingering mythos that felt alive. Suddenly, the chanting transformed into softer, welcoming tones, echoing the values they proclaimed in the community: unity, strength, hope. Mike turned to Derek, his heart racing with the excitement of realization. "This is what we've been missing, a connection deeper than ourselves. This space embodies everything we've dreamed of building." Derek nodded slowly, understanding dawning in his eyes. "You mean our villa?" he said, almost filtering the words through a lens of disbelief. "What if we bring this energy back? What if we let it inspire our community project?" "Yes!" Mike shouted, the surge of ambition flooding his veins like electricity. "We can cultivate this same sense of belonging and warmth in our villa. We'll create a space that nurtures everyone." The light brightened as more faces appeared at the edge of their memory, figures that represented their doubts and struggles. Mike recognized the challenge of his past, the constant push and pull between the relatives who dismissed him and the community that supported him. He felt the embodiment of encouragement and belief swell around them. "We didn't just stumble here," he muttered softly, realization blossoming. "We were led here." Sarah stepped forward, touching the shimmering water. "What if this is a sign? We can harmonize our energies into something beautiful, something lasting." Just then, a gentle splash echoed, and the water glimmered, like it had appreciation for their intent. The unnerving chants faded into the distance, and Mike felt the clarity of purpose wash over him. "We need to take this energy back. This place has roots, but it's up to us to grow it." Derek, standing now with his shoulders back, confidence building like a bouquet of flowers blooming at dawn, added, "Let us promise each other that we'll fight off disbelief. We'll show everyone that this isn't just a dream, it's a movement." Everyone's spirit lifted. With renewed fervor, the group returned toward the entrance, hearts beating as one. When they stepped back into the forest, it no longer felt ominous, it felt alive and hopeful. The thunder that had rolled above them was now just a distant murmur, background music for the triumph they had come to witness. As they emerged under the canopy of trees, something transformed in the air, a gentle, expansive energy surrounded them. Mike looked around at his friends, their faces lit with resolve, and he suddenly knew that the villa wasn't just a structure of wood and concrete, it was a vessel for connection and community. It could encompass the roots they had found in that mystical tree chamber. Returning to their gathering spot, Mike raised his voice with the vigor of someone ready to share a treasure. "Today, we found a hidden treasure that will change everything. Our villa will represent unity and strength. We will not only build a home but cultivate a legacy that speaks of love and hope. We won't allow fear and doubt to cloud our path anymore." Applause erupted, voices mingling, every cheer signifying a pledge to his vision. Their bonds had deepened, woven tighter through shared experience, and he felt surrounded by the warmth of family. "And let us invite everyone to join us. Share what we've found. We want this place to represent not just our dreams but the dreams of everyone in the community," he exclaimed. "Together, we build something that lasts." A resounding chorus of agreement cascaded from the crowd, filling the space with love and determination. One person shouted for action, another jumped in with ideas. It was a perfect storm of creativity, and Mike reveled in it. As night fell, the stars above twinkled brightly, a reminder that, together, they could reach new heights. A sense of purpose had blossomed into something deeper, something they could nurture and care for. And Mike knew this wasn't the end, it was just the beginning of their journey together. With every step toward their future, they forged on, hearts beating in unison, ready to embrace every challenge, every laugh, and every shared goal, this was the moment their dreams began to sprout roots and take flight, creating a legacy that would shine brighter than any star. Now it's your turn. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep this momentum going. Comment your reactions and feelings about this incredible ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. This is the moment to show your support.